Hello, this is Jake Williams from Scoop News Group, and we're talking with Tina Thorstenson, the Chief Information Security Officer at Arizona State University today. Tina, thanks for being here. We're excited to have you as a part of the Fal.Con public sector.
Jake, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be a part of it.
So Tina, tell me a little bit about what you're seeing with the cloud that can give security teams a leg up on detecting and responding to attacks.
You know, at ASU, and I think this is going to be obvious to a lot of the community here at this event, but you know, our strategy is we partner with some of the best security companies in the business. Certainly, CrowdStrike is a great example of this. You know, they're built on the cloud, and essentially what we do is we integrate. We take their great threat intelligence solutions and integrate them into our environment, and it turns out to be, I think, a win-win for everybody because of the cloud approach. We aren't doing it on our own at ASU. We're leveraging the power of threat intelligence across just all different industries and organizations. And you know, the cloud has given us the opportunity to take a much more holistic approach to security in so many ways, and also helped us advance our zero trust initiatives. So it's really been amazing for us.
And in your opinion, I mean, what are some of the best ways? What is the best way to get buy-in from your workforce when it comes to a security initiative?
So Jake, I love this question. Yeah, I've been at this a while. I've been with Arizona State University for nearly 14 years, and at ASU, we say that security is everyone's responsibility, right? I mean, that's the starting point. It isn't, you know, some small team and some part of the organization that somehow is managing to protect everybody. So when it comes to this, really what we're all about is leading with that every device, whether you work for us as a staff member or faculty or join us in learning from a student or even one of our affiliates, that it's really your responsibility to control the devices and the information that you've been asked to safeguard, and that translates across the entire community. So we do that you know, in a few different ways, but the most effective, you know, comes down to one-on-one or conversations or chats, or sometimes larger engagements. But it's really storytelling. You know, what worked and why did it work so well in a certain case, or you know, the alternate is true. You know, this phishing attack hit, and look what happened to us as an organization. And that really gets people to think about it individually, so that they can make the best security decisions for the whole of ASU. If they can believe it themselves personally and protect themselves individually, it goes a long way towards protecting the whole.
And so, I mean, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention the coronavirus pandemic, right? The top of everyone's minds now and likely for the foreseeable future. The pandemic has changed every aspect of our world, but how do you think it's changed cybersecurity?
You know, Jake, I love this, and of course, you know, many of us are living and breathing this right now from a security perspective. But let me just give you the short of it from an ASU perspective. In the midst of this global pandemic, it sure has been you know, interesting times. The world is already in a vulnerable state, increasingly vulnerable in many ways, where you know, businesses and organizations were disrupted. But here's how here's how it all landed for ASU. We converted from walking into a classroom to a completely digital online experience in you know, something we call ASU Sync, with 46 days to go in the semester, and we did it pretty seamlessly. We had the technology in place. We had the security protocols ready to go, and we were we already are a global organization, so that gave us a bit of a leg up. But what was different for us is that now we found ourselves in a world where we had virtually nobody visiting our campuses, which of course was new. We converted everything to for us it was Canvas, but these learning management tools we highly leveraged. Things like Zoom and Slack to keep the communications going. And from a security perspective, wherever ASU's technology goes, or you pick the organization, that's where the attackers try to hit, right? So we started seeing more things related to those newer tools we were using. You could pick up Zoom bombing for example, but at the end of the day, where we were from a security perspective, really we just leveraged what was already in place when faculty or staff or students were away from campus, and you're remoting in to do their teaching and learning work that they do 365 days a year anyway, to a world where that was the premier mode. And what it changed in terms of the security landscape is I think boils down to endpoints, devices being outside the standard framework for the ASU network. And we were super glad to have CrowdStrike in place on the endpoint, so that we didn't need to be on campus to get those security protection. So that's the short of it for us. And at the end of the day, we graduated 16,400 graduates in May of 2020, and we're super excited about that. And what it's going to bring to us this fall as we look at opening the campus, and continuing in this hybrid alternate modality for some time, where we'll have some people back on campus, but not everyone all at once. We will continue to be managing security and our entire technology infrastructure, both with considerations for on campus, as well as no matter where you might be joining us from across the globe.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's certainly going to be interesting to see how things change and grow and develop into the fall. You touched on it a little bit there when you talked about the endpoints and the changing locations of them. So much of our workforce is working from home. So we're working from home at Scoop News Group. Some of your staff, I'm sure, are working from home. What's the biggest worry for a CISO when we're talking about working from home?
The biggest worry from a technology standpoint is that endpoint that I mentioned. From the enterprise security space, we only know what we know, right? And what we know is that for devices that we manage from an ASU perspective, and control from a security perspective, we are highly confident in that equipment. So then conversely, what we don't know is the myriad of other devices that may now be in play in some instances, because people are working from home. So from a technology perspective, that's our biggest concern, is that that everyone is using a safe device with appropriate connections in place. And then my biggest worry from kind of the people side of this is that many of us are busier than we've ever been, and juggling more things than we've ever juggled as our businesses and organizations, and in my case, an institution has moved to this new mode and trying to keep up with everything in the world. So one thing we see in the security space is that we have to be really careful that we don't move so fast to make mistakes. So we talk about it as working remotely or working from home, but I've also heard it flipped, that we need to be careful that our teams of people supporting, in my case, the university, aren't effectively sleeping at work, right? We don't need people working around the clock. We need them to take a break and think before they act, especially with regards to the things that are really in the that last mile, fingers on keyboard type of work, where we could put up the most amazing security infrastructure, and we certainly continue to work on that every day. But at the end of the day, it also takes each one of us as individuals to make sure that we hold up our end of that security protection scenario, and make sure we don't accidentally respond to something we shouldn't have, or send something we shouldn't have, or send it to the wrong group, those kinds of things. So to me, there's a technology perspective, and then there's a human element as well.
Sure. Well, Tina, that's all the time we have, but thank you so much for being here.
Thanks so much for having me.